May I stand, O Lord, in this holy place. May I worship Thee and behold Thy face. May I be transformed by Thy word and Thy Spirit, and behold the day of Thy power. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, I'm glad to be back with everybody. Thank you. And we're going to start today with hymn number 211, Oneness. I now let go, I now let go. There's nothing to fear. I now let go. There's nothing to fear. I now let go. There's nothing to fear. I now let go. I now let go. There's nothing to fear. Turn yourself on. I realize there's only one power. 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 I realize I'm one with the one. 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 All right, let's see. I didn't want to blast everybody out here. Let's start today taking a moment to keep those that are not with us, that need some extra prayer, some extra consideration. Let's hold them in our conscience for a moment. And together we say, Amen. Let's say together our statement of being. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This is one that is all, is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And on the back of the bulletin, our statement of purpose, The purpose of Unity East Church is to teach it. Thank you. As taught and demonstrated by Jesus Christ and interpreted by Unity. Our mission is to rediscover the guiding spirit of God's presence within us and willingly demonstrate his creative purpose in our lives. Well, the announcements for today. Those of you that aren't aware, I've been gone for the last 2 weeks. I got home late last Sunday night. I came in Monday to do the bulletins and announcements. It wasn't until this morning I realized that, heavens, October 13th comes before October 15th. So why I left the announcement about the bonfire in the bulletin, I don't have the faintest idea. Maybe that's why it really was. And Bobby, thank you so much for coming, for leading our sing-along, and bringing the shrimp. Those of you that went there, we had a great time. The weather cooperated with us. It was just perfect. So forgive me for leaving that in there. Movie night is this coming Friday. I do not know what the movie's going to be. Ron and Connie will do that, but please sign up so we know how many pizzas to get and that sort of thing. The annual membership meeting is Sunday, October 29th. That's 2 weeks away. It's going to be following the service. We're going to try to get started on it about 11:30, 11:45. We're going to try to keep it at about an hour. The most important thing we're going to be doing at this meeting is electing an alternate for the board. We have several people that have expressed interest in that position. If you are interested and have not seen our nominating committee, which consists of Peggy Everett and Michael Nichols, please see one of them before next Sunday so that we can have ballots printed up for the meeting. The meeting is for everybody, but only members will be able to vote. We'll also be renewing our membership for the upcoming year. We'll be doing that at the meeting also. If you have not signed a membership card for this year, please consider doing so for next. The Carson Savings Book, Marion Upper has those. She's not here today. She will be next week. If you haven't gotten one, get one. They're wonderful. And all the proceeds from the books go to the church. They're great money savers. So at that, I can't think of anything else that needs to be announced. Reverend Matthew is with us again today. At this point, oh, okay. You're going to lead us in the Lord's Prayer. Wonderful. Would you do so now? So let's take things off our laps and get ready for that.
Hallowed be Take a deep breath to feel that pure, healing, harmonizing energy of spirit flowing in and through and as us. Breathing long, slow, deep inhales, long, slow, deep exhales. And for many of you, all I have to do is say now's the time for our prayer and contemplation, our meditation, and you're in your happy place. And for others, need a little more guidance, and so we just take this time to be holy. Take this time to experience our wholeness, that beyond the appearances of lack and limitation, beyond the appearances of separation, beyond the appearances of trouble, strife, dis-ease of any sort, we are one with God, and God is one in us. That we are one with each other. That we are holy, perfect, sinless children of God. And so we breathe in this awareness of our wholeness. Breathe in an awareness of that power, that presence, the Spirit that God is. And as we exhale, we release and let go of anything that seems to be less than whole. We breathe in strength, and we exhale and release any weakness. We inhale power, and we exhale anything that seems less than powerful. Relaxing, releasing, letting go. We open our beings, we open our whole consciousness of being to that presence and power of Spirit, relaxing our bodies, taking a mental inventory from the top of our heads to the bottom of our feet, becoming aware of any points of tension, tightness, dis-ease of any sort. And we breathe into those areas of our body, breathing in awareness of strength, of wholeness. And we breathe out, letting go, relaxing our whole body, letting God be God in us. And we do the same thing with our thoughts and our feelings, all that busyness of our minds and hearts. We acknowledge the thoughts, we acknowledge the feelings, and we set them aside for a moment, gently, quietly, tuning in to that still small voice that speaks to us, not in words necessarily, but in a knowing of God's presence and God's power ever within us, vibrating as us. That energy, that power, that presence that God is coming into expression as us right now. And at that point of being where God is, I am. We acknowledge that presence, that power. We feel that vibratory energy coming into being as us, that life energy that lives in us, that moves us forward, that motivates us, lifts us up to a whole new expression of life, that we are zealous for good, zealous for God, that we are moving, dancing, singing, praying in that awareness of God, bringing that out into our world, expressing good, expressing God. We see that, we know it, we feel it, we live it. Take another deep breath and just allow your whole being to become relaxed and to focus ever more clearly that beam of light, that beam of love, that beam of peace is shining in you now, surrounding and enfolding you, welling up within you, radiating out into our world, blessing all those in our life, all those who we come in contact with, all those who we share this planet with, being blessed by this light, by this love that we are sharing here today, right now. And so we continue to open our minds, our hearts, our whole being, to being that expression of light, to being that pressing out into existence of God's love. I relax, I let go, I let God's good come forth. And when our bodies or our minds or our hearts start to act like spoiled children and vying for attention, we just speak words of loving kindness. I relax, I let go, I let God's good come forth as we prepare for a time of silence. I relax, I let go, I let God's good come forth in the silence of our own being. In the silence, there is a sacred space, a secret meeting place. God is here. In the silence, beyond all the sounds, beyond all the sensory experiences, beyond the thoughts and feelings, we make conscious contact with that infinite, unlimited, eternal existence that we call God. And that life of God lives in us, lifts us up. And we accelerate that life through our thoughts and feelings to that power of zeal. And we are zealous for life and living. We lift our awareness of life and living to that of zeal and enthusiasm. I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. All that occurs for us is guided and directed by that energy of God within us, that energy of good. I invite you to take a deep breath now. Begin to come back into an awareness of this room, this chairs you're sitting in. Begin to move your arms, your legs, your hands, your feet, wiggling your fingers and your toes. And to take a deep breath. And to affirm with me, I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. Let me repeat that one more time, then I'll ask you to affirm it with me. I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. Together, I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for your divine life living in and through and as us. And we affirm our zeal and enthusiasm to be your light in this world, that we are the light of God. I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. Together, I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. And so it is. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And all God's children said, amen. I believe it, I receive it, and it is so. Thank you, God. Amen. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord.
Hello, everyone. Here's one you can sing with. I like the way your sparkling earrings lay against your skin so brown. And I want to sleep with you in the desert tonight, with a billion stars all around. And I've got a peaceful, easy feeling. I know you won't let me down, 'cause I'm already standing on the ground. And I found out a long time ago what a woman could do to your soul. But she can't take you anywhere you don't already know how to go. 'cause I've got a peaceful, easy feeling. And I know you won't let me down, 'cause I'm already standing on the ground. I get this feeling I may know you as a lover and a friend. But this voice keeps whispering in my other ear. It tells me I may never see you again. And I've got a peaceful, easy feeling. I know you won't let me down, everyone, 'cause I'm already standing. I'm already standing. I'm already standing on the ground. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Next, yeah. It's in there somewhere. All right, thank you. All right. I thought seriously of getting up and dancing here. It reminded me of my younger days. So, this song, first time I heard this song, Michael Krieger. Anybody know Michael Krieger? He was our music minister for a while. He's now music minister at Unity of Livonia. And he introduced this to me. It was originally recorded by a woman by the name of Leanne Womack. Anybody know Leanne Womack? You got soon? Okay. So if you're a fan of Leanne, I apologize in advance. So here we go. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always have that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forgive love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give fate the fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let them hell-bent hearts leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give fate the fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. Okay. Feel like dancing now? Yeah, I hope you dance instead of sitting it out like so many of us do. You know, dancing is zeal in motion. They often say, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but when you sing, you know, when we sing these songs, these prayer songs, they say you pray twice when you sing these prayer songs, because there's a certain amount of energy and emotion that comes when we have to get the words to come out in a harmonic way, so to speak. And when we dance, I think we just lift that up to a whole new level, beyond just prayer, but a being, because we have to feel it. I don't know anybody who can be sad when they're dancing, right? Have you ever been somewhere and you're not feeling too well and somebody gets you up and dancing and you start having fun, right? It lifts us up to a new level. And that's what we need, I think, in our world today, in our society, if you will. Especially, you know, in our football team, the Lions. Any Lions fans here? Lions. Okay, so some of you may know the Lions are not known to be a clutch team. In other words, they choke a lot, and so they've been compared to Billy Graham. Have you ever heard this comparison to Billy Graham before? You know who Billy Graham is, right? He's a preacher. You know, he's just like the Lions are like Billy Graham because they can get 65,000 people down on their knees going, Jesus Christ. Oh, we definitely have some Detroit plan here. Didn't go for that one very well, but anyway. Well, we need to live it up to a new level, and that's what Zeal is all about. And we're in this month of October, the 10th month of the year, and we're working with the 12 spiritual faculties. I like to use that term, spiritual faculties, for some of you who haven't heard me talk about this before, and I think there might be one or two in here, that we call them the 12 powers of man. The first book I ever got as a Unity student back in 1980 when I first came to Unity, first found Unity. I'd been doing a lot of other things before that, but found this thing called Unity that kind of brought my Eastern religious background together with my Christian upbringing, and it was like, whoa, this stuff works. And the first book I was at a men's meeting. This was in Anchorage, Alaska, and I was at a little men's meeting, and the minister, I saw there was on the tables there were these books, a little library they had set up. It was in an office building. They had a few offices, and I saw this one, 12 Powers of Man. I said, is this any good? And the preacher said, oh yeah, it's a good one. So I took it home and I read it, and I would not suggest that as the first Charles Fillmore book you read for most people, because it's a textbook. It really is. And if you want a good story, you go for Eric Butterworth, or you go for some of these other more modern writers. Charles was very intellectually inclined, and also very much. Some people who have trouble reading him, I say, if you meditate before you read, because he used to meditate before he wrote. So in order for us to really get what he's saying, we have to meditate. But anyway, the 12 powers. And I used to work with the 12 powers a lot. Started in, I don't know if you know who Dorothy Pearson. I think I've mentioned her before. Dorothy and Phil Pearson did this ministry for many years called The Best Is Yet to Be. And they were in Sacramento before they retired. But Dorothy had this little pamphlet out about the 12 powers and working with the 12 powers. And I started working with them, and I started realizing what was going on for me. I used to have a lot of headaches. I used to have these headaches right at the base of the skull here, right at the top of the spine there. And that's where the headaches would come on, and I'd take whatever I would take to get rid of them. And I was reading through this, and I realized that's the center for zeal, right there, zeal and enthusiasm. And I started realizing that what I was doing was not what I was not zealous and enthusiastic about what I was doing. Let's put it that way. And that was I can remember the day I did that too. I was sitting on my deck. It must have been about 84, 85, because I can remember the deck and looking out over. I used to look out over the knick arm of the cook inlet. We could see Moutsis sitting at the sleeping lady across the way. And on those rare, beautiful days when the sun would shine and Denali was not creating its own weather system, better known as McKinley, we could see Mount McKinley out way off in the distance, But back in the day before we went off to ministerial program. But sitting there and having that realization about the zeal, and started affirming that I had zeal and enthusiasm for life and living, essentially what we just affirmed during the prayer time. And I started drawing to me these experiences that were more in alignment with what I was destined and really desiring to do and express, to teach. I don't consider myself a preacher. I consider myself a teacher. I don't tell you what to think. I just help you find the eternal truths for yourself. Open the door, and it's up to you whether you walk through it or not. But Dorothy Pearson had this pamphlet, and that opened up that whole realm of the meditation part of this. And now I've taken that meditation and I do my own thing with it because I have a Kundalini background, and so I do it in Kundalini. And in our program, it uses the orange color, and I don't use orange, but that's okay. That system came out of the late 50s, early 60s, a woman by the name of Maggie Brown, I think it was, who was a Sunday school teacher at the Unity Village, wanted to teach the kids, about the 12 powers, and so she came up with a system of colors that was, is what we do today. But there's another time in my study. So after about that time, I went off to Unity Village. This would have been in '82, the first time I went off to Unity Village for CEP, the Continuing Education Program. Today it's called SEE. Anybody participating in SEE here? Spiritual Education and Enlightenment Program at Unity Village. You can go back for periods of time and study with the faculty back there. But I did that. Kathy and I went back for a couple of weeks. She got a scholarship to a 4-week program they had on education, youth educators, and so she got a scholarship to go participate in that. And I went back for a couple of weeks on my vacation, and while I was there, I took a 12 powers class. They just they were teaching 12 powers, and a fellow by the name of Ed Rabel. The first time I got to meet Ed Rabel. Anybody ever met Ed Rabel? Been back at the village? He was the metaphysical Bible instructor for many, many years, up until about 10 years ago or so. I guess it's been longer ago than that, but he was something else. He was really, and he opened my eyes up even more to this system of the 12 powers, and going through and reading the materials. And while I was there, he talked about this woman by the name of Ella Pomeroy, which I'm sure nobody's ever heard of, but Ella was a Unity teacher. She actually studied with Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was Charles and Myrtle Fillmore's teacher, and Raymond Charles Barker, and a host of other, Nona Brooks, and other New Thought people studied with Emma Curtis Hopkins. And Ella eventually started studying with Charles and Myrtle after her, trying to make a long story short. In the 20s, she moved to Kansas City and And when her husband died, she started studying with the Fillmores. And then she went off and started churches all over the Northeast, up in Massachusetts and Maine and New York City, Brooklyn, New York, which most of those, she was kind of going out and starting all these groups. And then she wrote a book called Powers of the Soul. Powers of the Soul and how to use them. And as far as the 12 powers, 12 spiritual faculties study, this is probably the next to Charles Fillmore's book. This is a great one. And she talks about this power of zeal. She says, there is within us a constant urge to express a vitality, a flame-like quality which burns within us and is repressed because of our uncertain faith in life, our untrained sense of power, our poor choice in directing our forces to the good life. Our poor choices in directing our forces to the good life, right? Our untrained sense of power, that flame-like quality that burns within us. That's the zeal. That's zeal. And to me, zeal is life lifted up to a whole new level. Like I mentioned before, I'm into Kundalini Yoga. I studied with the Sikhs, lived in some communities, and, I still occasionally teach yoga. And the Kundalini is that life energy that is wrapped around the base of our spine. They call it, it's the twin serpents. That serpent energy that when they rise up the spine, they cross over. And at every point that they cross, that's where the chakras are. And so that life energy lifts up to the top of the spine. So when we focus in on life, when we realize that God's life is our life, that we live God, when we do that particular spiritual faculty, that's my affirmation. God is my life, I live God. Together? God is my life, I live God. And when I focus in on that life faculty and lift that up my spine, which to me is the faculty of strength, God is my strength, I am strong and unafraid. Together? God is my strength, I am strong and unafraid. And that life power, that life energy lifts up to the base of our spine, right at the top of our spine, at the base of our skull, which is where the zeal faculty is. When that life, those serpents come together at the base of our spine, that's where the energy radiates out to the other faculties, the faculty of power in our throat, the faculty of understanding and will and imagination and faith, that those faculties that are energized when we lift it up into that faculty of zeal. So that's a physiological spiritual energy explanation of how we energize that zeal, how we get that going in our lives through prayer and meditation, through meditating, through visualizing, through coming into an experience in some way of that energy lifting up into our zeal faculty and radiating out into our world. So anybody relate to the idea of not having zeal and enthusiasm for life and living? Ever have a day when you can't get out of bed? I think it was yesterday. With the rain and all that going on, it's like, I just want to lay in bed. I don't want to go out and do anything. And I had this festival that I was performing and doing stuff at yesterday. So I had to, I was getting paid to go out and do this stuff. So I had to get out of bed. So I started working on my zeal and enthusiasm for that day, because if I don't, I'll go out and do that kind of stuff and I'll get sick, especially when it's raining and nasty out like it was. I was out in the rain all day yesterday. That was, I was under tents most of the time, but having to go in between tents quite often, and the grass that I was standing in was soaking wet, and it was one of those wonderful festival days, Anyway, so that zeal and enthusiasm carried me through the day. And that life energy that is God within us, I experience that as a vibratory energy. That God is that very vibration of life within us. We stop and kind of think about our bodies. Every cell of our body is vibrating, right? Every aspect of our being is vibrating. If you get to the very cellular level, they got those microscopes, you can actually see the cells, and they're kind of shaking, They're doing that kind of thing. And if you get down into the cellular, inside the cell, and you got the mitochondria, and you got the DNA and the RNA and all that stuff kind of moving around in there. And then when we get to the subatomic or the atomic level, right? We see these molecules, and you got these atoms that are spinning around each other, and then you get down into the atoms themselves, and there's electrons and neutrons and protons that are all kind of spinning around within each other, and then you get down within the electrons and the neutrons and the protons, and there's these quarks, which are just little masses of light energy. And now with string theory, we get down into those quarks, and we see that the basic life and the basic elements of life are not actually solid, but are energy, that are little strings of energy that are dancing around in there. I don't know if you've ever seen these pictures of those strings that are dancing, that just basic energy. That's we're starting to realize how it is that God is coming into expression. We're understanding more and more these processes that God works, that energy, that infinite, unlimited, eternal existence. And when I say God, I'm not picturing some big guy in the sky. I'm talking about the isness of the allness of the whatness of the who-ness. I can't define it. It just is. So I say any more than God is, I'm limiting. But you get the idea that this energy, this power, this ultimate existence is coming into expression as light energy. And it's that vibration within us, within all of creation, that is the essence of life. And our job is to lift that life energy up, to keep it alive, to keep it growing and unfolding within us. That doesn't mean we're going to live forever. Charles Fillmore thought he would. In the 20s, he had this radio station. I don't know if you've heard the stories. He was broadcasting in the middle of the night, and these stories about he believed he was going to live forever. Well, when he's in his 90s, he started figuring he might not make it in this lifetime. I don't think that's the point, to live in these physical bodies forever. We have this particular experience for whatever reasons it is that we're learning, whatever it is that we're learning in this particular experience. Then we move on to the next adventure of life. Who knows what that is? But I choose to have fun and enjoy this aspect of life. And to realize that vibration, which brings me to my 5 V's. I'm going to give you something to think about. I don't know if you ever heard, if you've been in any motivational training, somebody might talk to you about being a victim and a victor. You ever heard that that dichotomy before? What's the word? That pairing up of those 2 V's. That a lot of people, most people in Unity aren't victims anymore, although we occasionally, that doesn't mean we don't fall back into that, A victim is, life is happening to me. People are doing stuff to me. It's all their fault. They're doing all this stuff, and I'm just the victim of my circumstances and my situation. And we still hear that, when people talk about their particular life situation and things that have happened to them and how they can't be happy, they can't be whole, they can't be free because this stuff has happened to me. That's victim consciousness. And then we get that victor, the other side of that, to be a victor, that we are victors over our circumstances, that we are making life happen for us, right? And that's the mastermind principle. That's the mind dynamics aspect, which is, it's the Silva mind control. It's all those things that came out of the 60s and the 70s that some of us participated in and had a lot of fun with. And that's good to an extent, that we have a certain level of control over our lives. But then we have to take it on. That's why I have 5 V's. I've taken those 2 and made 5 out of it. Because after a while, we start realizing that it's not us doing it, right? That we become the vehicle for God, that God is working through us. That's where we start getting into prayer and meditation and start realizing that God is working through us. And this is where I think most Unity students are getting to, at that point of God working through us. That it's not me, but the Father within who does His works. That's where Jesus was talking about with that particular statement. He took it to a couple of different levels that I'm going to hit here in a moment. That not only is God working, not only are we acting upon life, but it's God working through us acting upon life. And we no longer are concerned with our own individual desires and wants, but we start becoming channels for God's good in the world. That's when we get that vehicle consciousness. And then after a while, we start realizing not only is God working through us, but God is working in us. Then we become vessels for God. Not only is God working through us, but God is working in us. Every cell of our body is vibrating with that energy of God. And that's when we get to the fifth V, which is vibration. We are the vibration of God. Not only is God working through us and in us, but God is working as us. That we are the very vibration of God. And when we're in that consciousness, all things work together for good. They do anyway, but we are conscious of it. We are consciously moving forward without doubt, without fear, without worry, without blame, without shame, without guilt. And a conscious awareness of fulfillment of God working in and through and as us. So not only is God working through us and in us, but as us. That we are God's hands outreached to the world. That we are that being of light that is radiating love and peace and joy out into our world. That's our opportunity to experience, to express, and to be on a daily basis. To be on a daily basis. Now, Charles' book, 12 Powers of Man, I mentioned that he was often doing this in a meditation, and he often has meditations within the chapters that he writes. And Simon the Zealot symbolizes the Zeal faculty. That's one of the disciples of Jesus. And he says, to help Simon the Zealot do his work, center your attention for a moment at the base of your brain and quietly affirm that infinite energy and intelligence are pouring forth in zeal and enthusiasm. So just take a moment right now, close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and just to focus your awareness at the base of your skull, at the top of your spine, that center, that physical center for zeal and enthusiasm. And become aware of how free that center feels. Does it feel locked up? Maybe a source of pain or distraction? Or does it feel free and open? So we center our attention for a moment at the base of our brain and quietly affirm that infinite energy and intelligence are pouring forth in zeal and enthusiasm. Infinite energy and intelligence are pouring forth in zeal, enthusiasm. Then follow in imagination a set of motor nerves that lead out from the medulla to the eyes, affirming all the time the presence and power of energy and intelligence now manifesting in your eyes. The presence and power of energy and intelligence are now manifesting in our eyes. And for the ears, we affirm energy and intelligence, adding, be you open. And so for our ears, we affirm energy and intelligence, adding, be you open. For the nose, affirm energy and intelligence, adding, the purity of spirit enfolds you. And so we focus on our noses, affirming energy and intelligence, adding, the purity of spirit enfolds you. For the mouth, carry the life current to the root of the tongue with the thought of freedom. And so we focus our energy on our mouths, carrying the life current to the root of the tongue, the seat of power, with a thought of freedom. When you carry the zeal current from the medulla center and connect it with the throne of Philip, a mighty vibration is set up that affects the whole sympathetic nervous system. And in this treatment, you have strengthened your voice, revitalized your teeth, and indirectly impart energy to your digestion. I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. This is our affirmation today. Let's take a moment. I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. Please affirm this with me together. I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. And a second time, like we mean it together. I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. And a third time, soft and with deep meaning together. I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for life and living. And so it is, and so it shall be. God bless, and amen. Yea, God.
At this time, let's take our offering envelopes. And together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Thank you, God.
Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and carrying signs, mostly saying hooray for our side. I think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep. Into your life it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man comes and takes you away. I think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Shrimp? Okay.
Bobby decided to save a bit of his cholesterol and
Share it all with everybody.
all of us.
Okay.
So we had wonderful shrimp as appetizers for the bonfire Friday night.
Okay. Hot dog.
It went great with hot dogs
Yeah.
and s'mores. I mean, we hit our cholesterol, we hit our sodium, and sugar.
party around here. All right. Yeah, let's take a moment to dedicate and consecrate these offerings of love and financial abundance and seeing them going forth to do a mighty work through Unity East Church and into our community, bringing that awareness of light and love into all the hearts and minds of our brothers and sisters. This is the bounty of God. We send it forth with wisdom and with love. This is the bounty of God. We send it forth with wisdom and with love. Together, this is the bounty of God. We send it forth with wisdom and with love. Yea, God. Amen. Yea, God. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. On earth and now it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. There is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. All right, let's take a moment to bring into consciousness all our friends and family and loved ones, all those that we're in prayer with this day, and see them surrounded in light and in love going forth to experience God's great good as we affirm our prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yea, God. Amen.